What's up, guys? It's your boy Daddy Nat. This is my channel Side Hustle, and welcome back. Today we're doing something a little different where I'm actually interviewing Alex from Wavewalk, who just won my remix competition for one night. He made a killer song. You can actually check it below in the description, but I hope you guys really enjoy this. We dive into his story as a musician, sort of the journey of where he's got to, all the way to the things that hopefully we're going to work on together in the future. Again, shout out to Alex. He made an absolute banger. Also, shout out to Daniel Naz and North Sky, who both won the competition on the Loom side as well. We had so many good songs that were submitted for this contest, and man, it was really tough deciding, but super happy to say Alex won. Very happy with the song. I'm going to be including it on my album a little later this year, but I hope you guys enjoy this content. Hope there's value there. Alex has a very interesting life. We have a lot of similarities in terms of our work ethic and what we're trying to do with music. And again, hope you guys enjoy. It's your boy Daddy Nat. It's my channel Side Hustle. You know, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get it. Woo. But fuck yeah, dude. Welcome. For those of you who have no idea, we just spent like half an hour busting our ass to find out.
Exactly.
Picking up some settings, but
we got it.
So Wavewalk, Alex.
Yeah.
For me to call you just Alex, or
Alex is cool, yeah.
Yeah, right on, bro. So my thought was kind of just before we dive into like the remix and like how you approached it and the process behind it, was really maybe, you know, I want this to kind of be more about what you got going on and kind of how you got to where you're at today.
Cool.
And you know, just kind of a little background. So maybe even just start with how you got into music, or
All right.
you know, how Wavewalk come about.
Yeah, so basically in college, so I went to college at a business school, actually.
Badass.
But you know, my freshman year, I got into playing a little bit of guitar, and I'd played drums, you know, pretty much most of my life growing up and stuff.
Okay.
When I got to college,
set and shit, or
what?
Like a trap set, like a full
Yeah.
drum kit.
Yeah, when I was really young, I started playing drums, and then kind of straight away from that in high school, got to college and was, you know, trying to do the whole business thing. But then, you know, got back into music because a bunch of my friends were, you know, playing guitar and shit.
Yeah.
And then not until like the summer after my sophomore year,
Okay.
I was living on campus, and one of my buddies had a DJ set up.
Okay.
And so we just started like spinning and doing stuff like that just for fun.
And this is college. This isn't of high school.
Yeah,
So
this is college. This is college.
So you really didn't get into like fucking with music that much until you were in college.
Yeah, not until recently. So
Cool.
this is like 3.5 years ago now. So
Got you.
we're DJing, just, you know, having fun in our apartments, whatnot.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yo, I have this program called Ableton too." I had no idea what it was, and I was like, "Cool." So we opened it up, started just messing around with it, and like instantly just was like hooked on it and started doing it every day. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at that point, but I was just in it like every day for probably, I don't know, at least 3 months right off the bat.
Badass.
And then school started up again, and I was like sporadically, you know, using it during school. But I got super into, you know, watching producers and how they make stuff, and specifically like John Bellion, like behind the scenes videos, and like
Just YouTube, just kind of like research.
Yeah, just straight at YouTube. And so did that for a while. And back then it wasn't Wavewalk. I was just kind of going by my own name, and me and my buddy were like kind of releasing stuff, like shitty stuff. But you know, Wavewalk didn't come about until like last year. So anyway, so I got through college. I you know, graduated with a business degree, and which is funny because at that point I was super into music. I'd been doing it for producing, I should say, doing it for about 2 years. A lot of like remixes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And upon graduating, I had, you know, either I'm going to go and do some sort of shitty business job that I probably don't want to do, or I can, you know, keep going with music. And so I looked into like graduate school programs.
Okay.
And so I ended up going to Berkeley uh, College of Music
Fuck yeah.
for the production master's program,
Okay.
which was last year. That was they have a satellite campus in Valencia, Spain.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
So yeah, so I was there for a year, and up until that point, I was pretty much self-taught. I took one Ableton class over the summer a couple of years ago, but other than that, I was just like
Yeah.
doing my thing, trying to figure it out, and then I ended up going to school for it, which was incredible.
And
And
you
like,
did that, and that was at Berkeley. So, but that was like a satellite. So,
yeah,
so I have a degree in international business. I did a business degree as well, and I've done
cool.
music the whole time through it. Tell me about how like you. I'm sure you were business minded, probably going into college, and you kind
Yeah,
of just
sure.
stick with it. But how did you even go to being accepted into like a music program?
Right.
For us, I mean, Berkeley is like I mean, it's the school of music. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's quite an accomplishment, man. Like, how did you just fucking kill it in college and then you kind of leverage that, or did you just apply and like hustle? Like, kind of how that's cool, you know?
yeah. So I like my senior year of college, I like basically started applying for jobs, which would
Okay.
for after college, in the
Yeah.
fall,
Yeah.
and the application for Berkeley was, like I think I received it like November or October or something, and it was due like November for the early action.
Okay.
And I figured like if I don't try and do early action and I wait,
Right.
like because with early action you know in December if you're going, and I was like if I don't know by then I'm gonna have a lot of pressure to like get a job,
For
just because
sure.
that's how my school was. It was like crazy like
Yeah, yeah,
that. So
bro. And it's just like, you went to college for something, people expect you to be like, even though I think it's pretty counterintuitive to like you being happy in life and getting
yeah, exactly.
accomplished. But yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. That is like, you were very forward thinking with that to be able to get it done like in December and not have the pressure from
Exactly.
either your parents or your family or whoever's trying to get you to go do,
Yeah,
just be, yeah, and just, be able to start paying for your own life. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I mean, when in the application for my program, it was like you have to submit 3 songs that you've either produced or
Yep.
there's engineers in my program too. So if you engineered stuff, but I obviously wasn't on that side of it. But like,
Mhm.
so 3 songs I produced, and I like right before then I've been working on some like cover remix songs. So like I would just take a song, I would basically sing the hook and then add new verses and then turn it into like a dance track when it
Okay.
was usually like just like a pop song.
Like this is all
And
originally written by you, or is these remixes? Are these remixes that you flipped on with your own vocals?
yeah, that I flipped my own vocals
Okay,
basically.
got you.
So
Cool.
I made like 3 of those. I didn't think they were great, but I just put them in the application, and like with all the other shit you got to submit, and yeah, I heard back and they were like, you got accepted, and I was like, damn, that's pretty crazy. I was not expecting
That's
that, but
crazy.
kind of did it on a whim, but it worked out.
And you've already finished that?
Yep. So I just got back mid July to back to Boston.
Damn, bro. Okay, so you're from Boston. I was gonna ask you where you're
Yep.
from. Cool, man. Born and raised, or
So I was born about hour and a half outside the city. Well, I mean, it's like Western Mass basically.
sure.
But just moved out here. My college was right outside of Boston as well, my undergrad.
Got you.
So I'm right in the same area now, outside of Boston.
Bro, and you went to Spain, man. That's just so cool because so I mean, I don't know, you probably don't know this about me, but I told you I did a degree in international business.
Yeah.
I did my entire degree in New Zealand,
Really?
University of Otago. Yeah, so it was
Wow.
like a really like similar thing where I was just like, man, I got to go do something fucking crazy and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
live somewhere wild and just go be on my
Yeah.
own a little bit.
Sweet.
So it's cool, man. There's a lot of similarities there, bro.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
You
But yeah,
did
I was
all
just
4 years there?
yeah, man, I did all, my entire degree there, and I had no idea if I grew up in small town Texas, so I kind of
Okay.
just was like, really ready for something different, you know what I mean? And hadn't really ever lived in like a city, but yeah, applied to a bunch of schools in the States and then looked at tuition and was like, fuck, I need to go do something different. So yeah, man. But yeah, but how, like, what kind of, you know, did you know you were going to be in Spain if you were going to get accepted to
Yeah,
this specific program?
yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like a subset of a Berkeley program that. Okay.
Yeah, they only have that particular master's program in their Spain campus.
Uh-huh.
So that's like I knew I was applying for that. That's what I was. Yeah, I mean, if it was in the States, I probably would have done that just because. But it wasn't, so I just went for it and
That's sick. Yeah.
worked out, and it was a really really dope experience. So
And did you like meet a bunch of other like inspiring artists while you were there and like people you could work with and
yeah,
like networks and stuff?
that was the biggest thing. So coming from being a music producer at a business school, there was two other kids that I knew of in my entire school of like 4,000 people that would
Sure.
make music.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, and we were pretty good friends, but it just like I didn't know anything other than those two kids doing it and like, just people
Yeah.
that I looked up to, like superstars. So
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
crazy to see yourself. It's difficult to see yourself, making a living off of music when that's all you have is two people around you that are doing it, or like the Drake or whatever. Like you know what I mean? Not
oh,
that.
yeah, no, it's kind of just a gamble for. I mean, that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing about being a musician that a lot of people don't really. I think a lot of people look at musicians and they either look at them and like, oh man, that's so cool, like they're pursuing their passion and their stuff, or they're like a business person, like people we probably went there and was like, oh man, like I bet how is he even making it by? Like what
Yeah.
is he doing? And it's like. That to me is always the biggest thing about being a musician is that in today's society, when you're making money from music, people legit have no fucking clue what you do, and they
Uh,
don't understand you. And you're in addition to that, kind of the reason I brought that up was because, dude, you bet on yourself for so long, and just you kind of do it quietly for a while, and then
yeah.
eventually, when you start dropping music and being vulnerable, I mean, that's where you make waves of progression. But
Right.
man, like I'm there with you, dude. Like
Yeah.
the only way you get good, people always ask me is like, dude, like what do I need to do to like make it take it to the next level? I'm like, man,
Yeah.
you gotta just put your head down, bro, and just keep
Yeah.
going.
Exactly.
Because you've been doing it. What you said, 3.5, 4 years now.
Yeah. For 3.5 years about.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Your production is really good for 3.5 years. Like
Thank you.
I've been doing it for about 5 to 6 now, and
Yeah.
so and I have another producer who I work with who helps
Right.
me kind of get it to the finished product. Yeah, his name's Brian. You'll probably get to work with him some
Yeah.
this in the future as well. But yeah, he's awesome, man. And I did that so I could focus more on the artist development.
Right.
But I always admire, like one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about was the music that you make. And this is me because I'm not super in tune with EDM or necessary. I'm much more in tune with hip hop and pop. But like in terms of musical influences, what kind of inspires you to make music? I hear a little Odessa in there, maybe just from kind of being like far away and not
Yeah.
necessarily knowing all the subgenres within that. But like, who are your influences, and how did you kind of like what inspired you to make the music that you're making today?
Yeah. So I think initially, uh, I would say the biggest, I don't know if it's influence as far as like musical style and genre goes, but like John Bellion and watching his videos and like getting into it
Yeah.
that way was like the reason that I realized you can make music. I feel like it's one of those things where you don't if you don't do it, you don't think about how it's made and all this shit. You just hear the finished product and you're like, oh, that's cool, that.
Confused, yeah.
Yeah, so watching his, behind the scenes, and they weren't really like, oh, they weren't technical at all. I don't know if you've seen any of those behind the scenes ones,
So
but
I haven't. I wish I had. I wish I had reference,
dude,
but I would imagine I know there's probably half a dozen to a dozen really popular hip hop producers that I've watched as well, who've taught me like
yeah, exactly.
ounce of how I make music as well. And you just learn something just by like even in just watching their process from afar, even if not even learning like how to put in a MIDI drum kit to go build out certain progression or any of that, like that stuff's just not only inspiring, but it also is like, oh, it's not that hard. You know what I mean? You just got to do it, you know?
And so seeing him doing it that way, and it not being super technical, the way that the videos are made, was like, okay, this is super cool. I can get into this. And so that's definitely one big influence. Again, not really the style, you know, he's like very pop and hip hop and
got you
whatnot. But so you know that at first, and then as far as actual like music,
whenever you were like growing up as well, you know what I mean? I guess that's kind of what when I think about my musical influences, it's almost like stuff you didn't choose, you just kind of
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I listened to a lot of like rock music, and I mean, my dad was super into like, you know, Kiss, AC/DC, that type of stuff. But then, you know, in college, I just started listening to a ton of EDM, and like I would say right now, I listen to a lot of San Holo, Louis the Child.
Dude, the Child's the shit. Yeah,
they are. So, and people have said like they can hear, you know, bits and pieces of those styles in my stuff. So yeah, those two. I mean, at one point I was making some harder stuff, and I was listening to a lot of like Skrillex. I mean, Skrillex is like top tier, just production work.
He just fucked up the game so much back in the day, bro. You know what I mean? He just was like, oh, just so you know, like I've been making music being a rock and roll fucker for a long time, but I can do all this shit on my laptop and it's way easier. Exactly. But he had all this. The thing is, like, people get confused about Skrillex as well, I feel like, because they're like, dude, he just presses buttons, or it's like, nah, dog, like he knows a lot about music and he just applied it to a different genre. And
actually
he was the first to do it, really. I mean, do it in a major way,
And that's so other than like, and before college and EDM and all that stuff, really when I was in middle school, and I was like playing the drums every day, I was listening to a ton of like punk rock, and you know, Green Day and Blink and all that shit, Sum 41 and
same, bro. I listened to so much of that whenever I was
and so that definitely.
And you play drums to that. Okay, so because you play in like rock bands and stuff?
I didn't ever growing up. I just literally would go in my basement, pop the headphones in, and just fucking play for hours.
You probably got way better because of that.
And so, I mean, last year, one of my buddies had music that he wanted to start a band for, so I hopped in and played drums for him, and we've done a couple shows for that. But other than that, no, I'd never really played in bands.
Cool. No, I just was curious. I played. That's how I got my start. I played in bands for like almost a decade before I kind of really decided to go into producing and just, you know, having control over your end product and all that shit. Okay, so one more before we get in. Like last question, probably before we get into how you approached the One Night Remix.
Okay.
How'd you hear about Loom and kind of like what, you know? So you're in Boston.
Yeah.
They're based in Wisconsin. I guess that's not like crazy far off from you. Do they have a presence in Boston? Like,
no. So actually, my friend Andrew, who I'm the kid I was just talking about, I'm in his band.
Sure.
He goes by Morsifier, by the way, if you want to check.
That's right. Yeah, I listened to some of your songs. He has. Were those his vocals on the ones that have his name next to it?
I just did a remix of one of his tracks. Yeah.
Oh, dude, his vocals are very, very good.
Yeah. And so, he was in Spain with me. That's where I met him.
Cool.
And so he's from San Francisco. So when we got back, in July of this last year, I think he literally just hit me up one day. We just sent each other random stuff that we find.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, my friend Mark, who's also just engineer, producer over in San Francisco, he was like, yo, my friend Mark was found out about Loom somehow. I don't know how he found out originally, but found it, and he was like very, very early like I think right when they launched it, he was on it.
Damn.
And so Mark had told Andrew, Andrew told me, and that's pretty much how I heard it. And I mean, at first, you know, you hear all these like new apps like that coming up, or like, you
Yeah,
know,
dude, you're
Obvious or
rightfully skeptical about stuff. I mean, I certainly was as well.
yeah,
Sure
yeah.
about that.
But the good thing about it was the app initially, like right when I downloaded it, super easy to use,
Yep,
and like it just it because I mean I'm on Spotify and SoundCloud and all that shit,
for
and
sure.
it's not really it's nothing's popping for me right now. So
If you don't go put money into it externally, I mean, let's just be fucking honest.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
a major brand, but usually the like 95% of what it is money. I mean, you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
I have like nearly 60,000 plays on one of my songs on Spotify. That came from me doing campaigns through
Yeah,
ads, through Instagram. I mean, all kinds of shit. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And
And I've tried some of that shit too. Obviously, not really to the level that I should if I wanted stuff to maybe pop off a little bit more.
you're
But anyway,
building a catalog though, bro. So I mean, yeah,
yeah,
there's
exactly.
benefits to that, you know.
And so, but yeah, so when I downloaded Loom, I uploaded. I had already had two songs out, so
Cool.
I just I put those up, and then I was recently. I think at the time I was working on the Ikali remix.
Okay.
That's like my top song on Loom
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah. I
So,
listened to it. I listened to it. I was listening to a few of them before I hopped
yeah,
on. Yeah.
and so I threw that one out too as like the third track I put up. This was maybe like, you know, a month after the app had, you know, launched actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just shit just started to like get like like I was getting plays, getting all this stuff. I was like, damn, this app is the real deal. So
Yeah.
kind
It's
of crazy how
organic.
it happened, but
Yeah, bro. No, exactly same thing happened to me. I had a song dropping. It was actually in July as well, right after they launched. Brian, the producer I was talking about earlier, was like, "Hey, you know, there's this app." I was like, okay, sounds interesting." And then I like downloaded it, and then a couple days later, put the music up there, and it just worked. You know what I mean? It was
yeah,
cool. You know, like uh, I think it's certainly a one of the only apps I've ever used where it's just like if you have decent music, you'll be heard. You know, you'll be heard either way. But if you have decent music, you'll be shared and heard, and you know.
yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, hang on, I think that the top person I checked the other day, like the person on the app with the most amount of plays,
Yeah,
it's like 40,000 plays.
yeah, no.
And
It's
so like and so to be anywhere, I think right now I have like 8,000. Like that's like it feels good to be in this thing that feels like it's all growing together and we're all like coming up.
for
So
sure, bro. And there are like I definitely think about that as well. Like even if it becomes an A&R like sort of resource, there's a lot of value in all that.
yeah,
So anyway, man, didn't want to spend too much time on that, but it is just
yeah,
kind of interesting to hear because from my perspective, you know, I learned about it through my producer, who learned about it through some other guy that he worked with.
yeah.
Uh, you know, there's a lot of word of mouth to it,
Mhm.
which is pretty dope. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so probably talk about the fucking song.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Bro. So you know, just to kind of like talk about it for a second, and from my perspective, kind of why I chose your song.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I'm gonna ask you probably just kind of about your process in general. But when I looked at this song, the mix was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
The engineering behind it was pretty good,
Mhm.
but it was truly like when I listen to things, the mix and the engineering, it has to be certain level, but
Yeah.
I'm not that guy who's like telling you between a song that's like 90% intent, like 100%, you know what I mean? I'm never kind of like that picky about it.
Right.
And so, but I try to take that into acknowledgement whenever I'm listening to everybody's tracks.
Yeah.
And I
Of
have to
course.
say, dude, there were like a lot of tough tracks that were submitted for this shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was pretty interesting to see just the different levels, but the way you compose the chord progressions, the melodies, the samples that you picked,
Mhm.
like all that together, and just the feeling, bro. Like it's such an
Yeah.
energy that I got from it. It was just unique, and I really thought it was, you know, hands down the best in terms of just the feeling you get from the music, the vibe. I could hear it being played in other places. You know what I mean? So you know, really stoked on it.
Thank you, man.
In terms of, and congratulations, because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
Thanks.
fucking deserve it. But so like, tell me about maybe before we dive into this specific song, just in general, like what's your process when it comes to making music? Like, are you doing remixes 9 out of 10 times, and are you very comfortable in that environment compared to maybe going with some of like recording your own vocals or recording someone else's vocals and going that way? Because you seem to have particularly an ear for chord progressions and how vocals can sit on top of those in a way that's unique, I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd just love to know a little bit about your process, and then we can talk about your
Yeah.
process one night specifically.
Yeah. I mean, it really. So initially, when I first started producing, I was doing a lot more remixes, just because I didn't sing back then. I mean, still don't really consider myself a singer. I do it, and
Yeah.
I want to do more of it. But so I was just finding acapellas and all that shit on YouTube wherever I could get them, and so that's how I initially started. I feel like a lot of people start that way as producers. And I did a lot of remix competitions, just to get good stems and get high quality stuff and be able to just be in different competition with other people. And
Yeah, nowhere high quality samples is such a huge thing when you're
yeah.
being a good producer. It's just like you have to have the right. Yeah, so that's cool, man. So have you won other ones as well?
No. So I over the past couple years, not really much last year, but before that, I probably entered like 6 or 7.
Got you.
Didn't I mean they were huge ones,
I
like
imagine. Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
ones. So that's just it's tough as
That's the
fuck.
way it goes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, getting this one, I do feel comfortable, taking a song that I have already, a song and remixing it and taking parts of it that I think could be useful in the remix and
Yeah.
leaving out other parts. So that kind of comes fairly natural, I would say, as far as remixes go.
Okay. And so you just like in general, you have a lot of experience kind of going down the remix route and listening to the original iteration and then just kind of adding your own twist to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of it, and
Do you
I
like hear that in your head, or do you just kind of like, before you even approach the song? Or is it
it's just on the fly, pretty much.
dope? That's
Yeah.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how I do most of my production in general. I'll just sit down on my laptop, and I don't really write stuff and then come and put it in the laptop. I'll just run through samples, do some
Yep.
sound design, whatever it may be, throw down. Usually, I would say I start with like chord progressions
Yep.
or melodies, and then kind of build out the whole track. If I'm singing on it, I'll do vocals and write lyrics all the way at the end,
Yep.
just pretty much from whatever vibe I get from the track.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's that process. But yeah.
That's dope, bro. So okay, so how did you approach like one night when it came to like even from you unpacking the stems?
Mhm.
Like, talk to me. Do you take like the vocals first? Do you take the melody first, the bass line first? Like, and do you ignore all the drums? Like, what do you usually do when you're unpacking those kind of for the first time
Yeah, I
or
think
one night?
for this one, I I'm pretty so I definitely grab the vocals first, pull them in, make sure everything's set, and I think most of the time I try to just work straight from the vocal.
Cool.
And if I'm not really getting a good vibe, I think initially I tried to work straight from the vocal on this one, and like I just wasn't getting the good ideas that I wanted,
Yeah.
so I scrapped it, and then I pulled everything in the second try, which was I after like 30 minutes of working it, I was like, yeah, I need to pull everything in. So
For
pulled
sure.
it in, made sure it was nice and neat, and pretty much just like gave everything, because once you get the stems, it's like, okay, this is what they were doing there. I didn't even hear this. I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just more of a feeling. So you unpack all that shit, and I think the only two things I use from the original are the vocals and the bass.
Oh, dope. Okay.
So
You modulated the bass as well, I can tell. I'm sure
what?
you definitely fucked with the bass quite a bit as well.
Yeah, yeah. I just took one hit.
Took the 808. Yeah,
Yeah, I just took one hit from the bass, and because the original didn't work with my
Yep.
chord progression. So I just took one hit, did my own little bass line, and then took the vocals. I don't think I took anything else. I was messing around with some of the drums, but I do like to use my own drums, mainly because once you start mixing drums from another song that are already done, they got different reverbs on them, they got different stuff, and it's tough to make them mesh up really nice.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna use these drums. I'll just use my own stuff so I can make it, as far as mixing goes, a little bit easier and sound a little bit, together.
No, it sounds like you have your process, and I think that's a really big thing for a lot of producers who I, again, talk to when they're on the come up. It's like you just really have to get like your variables to be as little as possible, and then just kind of make sure you know how to mix those and get really good at integrating those. So dope. And then did you, like, when you added in all those different elements, were there any like particular VSTs or plugins or like sounds that you were using?
Hang on. Let me actually open up
Fuck yeah.
the
You can do a screen share on it real quick?
Yeah. Hang on, let me see if I can.
Hey, I'm gonna take a test real quick.
All right, how do I screen share? Oh, there we go.
Should just see a little thing at the bottom.
Oh, fuck yeah. Okay, there we go. That's tight. Oh, this is the good shit.
Dude.
Can you see this?
Yeah. I'm so stoked to use Ableton as well, bro, because like that's what I've used my entire life as well. So
I mean, there's definitely. Yeah.
You can't comp vocals.
Like,
I hate that shit, but apart from that, I kind of like everything else.
Yeah. I mean, you can use whatever you want. I tell people, but this is just what I used first, and it's the fucking sickest. So,
Agreed, bro. So I can already tell you, like, the way you've done your snares and your perks, they're all like, looks like you have them perfectly like lined out and shit.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of impressed that this was already cleaned up. I don't. I wouldn't say I normally. Actually, when I'm like finishing a song, I'll make sure it's all nice and tidy.
Yeah.
Or if I'm collabing with someone, I'll try and do this. Just obviously, because it's a nightmare if you're sending over shit that's you don't know what the hell's going on.
Fucking A.
But yeah, man. So I believe.
So you tripled up your kicks?
No, so this is just a drum rack.
Oh, dope.
A San Holo one.
Those are claps. I got you.
Yeah, so I do this sometimes. I'll write out the drum or some drums like this, and then I duplicated it.
Okay.
And then I solo. So this is the same exact thing, but I just solo the snares in this one. I just solo the kick in this one.
Got some Shafi samples in there as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so again, the vocals and the bass, I believe. Look at that shit. That's nice.
Yeah.
Were the only things that I used from the original. These are all other
stuff, sweeps,
effects. But so I had the vocals. I didn't have the bass yet, but I took this pluck or this. It wasn't originally a pluck, but I made it a pluck.
Badass.
Now. And yeah, that's like the main little. I don't know if you can.
That's the main riff, yeah. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Wow, this is.
I think I'm hearing it through your microphone though, but either way.
So yeah, that's what once I got that, I was like, okay, that's the vibe that I'm digging now. I'm gonna keep going on that and just run with it. And another thing too that doesn't just have to do with this. Like I said, I did do one iteration originally that was maybe 30 minutes of fucking around and then switched it. But in remix competitions, usually, I'll I'll just go with sort of the first, like whatever vibe I get, I just kind of go with it. One, I was, time crunched on this one because I entered pretty late.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a big fan of just going with a vibe. If it
Yeah.
works, it
Go with the
works. If
flow,
it doesn't,
sure.
it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So
This is yours. Yeah. Like that's super dope. I agree with that.
yeah. Um,
So
yeah.
yeah, man. So you basically took like some plucks that you had. You had some lead VSTs that you threw over it, but in terms of the stuff that you took from me, it was basically just the vocals and then that 808
Yep.
sample.
Yep. And yeah, so I think I used some serum. I used
Some guitar.
what is this?
A little solid bus comp on there. Oh yeah, dude, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that was
Dude, that's legit. When I first heard that, I was like, "Oh yeah, dude!"
So this was
So stoked when I heard that.
I don't even know what the original here. Let me see if I can see what the original sound was.
Already freeze it? Oh yeah, yeah. You could just turn all those off, I guess.
Yeah, so
Dude, that's so.
yeah, that's wild.
Oh, you have guitar rig on it. Okay, cool.
Yep. And yeah, I do a lot of basically sound design
Sure.
on like audio processing. Like obviously this is like, a decent amount.
Yeah.
But I've gotten some pretty long chains just to manipulate audio because I think
Yeah, dude.
you can hop in Serum and make a brand new sound, which is really dope, obviously, and it's fun and you can do that stuff, but it's also really, really cool to take something and just make it completely different than it was before.
Oh, for sure.
Effects and like completely just.
It's way cooler, dude, because you're taking like a super simple sound and then just allowing it to like the simpler the sound, the better off you are in that situation. I
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
Just turn it into something completely different.
Yeah.
That's rad, dude. I had no idea you were going to be able to pull this all up. This is super cool. So in terms of just like samples, do you have like, looks like Cymatics were in there. I'm a huge fan of Cymatics.
Yep.
Flow, obviously, it looks like you did a collab with them.
Yep.
Or
Travis Barker.
okay.
His new drum kit on Splice is like crazy. Or his sample pack.
I haven't fucked with it yet. I was actually gonna dive into Splice after this and try to find some new samples. But hey, dude, tell me. This is actually just we're riffing here, but tell me about like so a lot of people I meet, and I always think this is just sort of like an artist sabotage thing that people always talk about. It's like, but I'm sure you've heard before. It's like, dude, you just get your samples from Splice. Like, I get my samples from $40 sample packs online that are like super fine and rare. Like, so my contention is fuck, dude. I don't think I wrote one night with many samples from Splice except for drums.
Yeah.
But like, I've written some really good songs with samples from Splice.
Yeah. No, I think
from my perspective, if another vocalist is on it, like, okay, and they do better than me, then okay, then they did better than me. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not much more to that,
Yeah, I mean, so drum samples are obviously.
Yeah.
I take a lot of them from Splice. I have made some of my own drums and drum kits and just from synthesizing them, like kicks and snares and all that shit. But I mean, it is just easier to grab samples, and time can get in the way of trying to make a bunch of shit, especially when you're trying to work quick. And so,
dude, hey, yeah,
I try to obviously stray away from the super popular stuff.
Dude, so I'll always put random whenever you do their like search.
Yeah.
But it'll say popular. I always put random.
Yeah, and if I'm looking for some sort of like guitar or piano or something, like usually or vocals, when I search it on Splice, I'll immediately just go to the last page and not the first page. I'll click like down at the bottom. It'll say like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like go to the next page and it says like 199. I'll always click on that one and work backwards.
That's awesome.
Just so you're getting shit that probably less people have heard.
No, I'm right there with you, bro. And it's like that's that's my approach to Splice as well. But the reality is
if you make good music,
shine.
good music.
Yeah, like it's exactly like the dope shit's always gonna shine, and you know, if somebody out does a better song than you with the same sample, they're gonna get known for it. If you make the better song, you're gonna get known for it. It's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's funny. I don't. I've heard some really. I've heard some samples that I have in like some really big songs,
Yeah,
you just kind of are like, I don't know, because I tend to, like I said, if I do get like a guitar sample or whatnot, I'm gonna fuck it up beyond belief anyway. So
Mhm.
it probably won't even be a guitar anymore or
Right.
whatever it is. And that's just how I do it. But again, I have heard some pretty untouched samples in some huge songs.
For
And,
sure, dude. And
but I mean, you know,
that happens a lot, bro. There's like
yeah,
some massive songs that do that. I mean, I think I'm right there with you. Like if I'll either try to throw like halftime on it or do something, that
yeah,
just fucks it up to give it its own sauce. But
exactly.
you can. I'm never above getting inspired. Like
Yeah,
whatever the fuck I need to get inspired, I don't care. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, dude. Well, this is sick, man. I'm glad. Let me a couple other. Did I ask you this already? Did you mix and master everything yourself? And do you do that?
Yeah. So for this, I did mix and master. I mean, mixing, I just do it as I'm going. You
Sure.
know,
Awesome.
pretty much. Like I'll go back at the end and touch some stuff up or add some,
No,
more
you're trying to
technical
make the
shit.
chain. Every time you add an instrument, you're trying to make sure the chains as it would be in the end, essentially.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, I mastered this. I mean, this is probably gonna people are like gonna crucify me, but like I just have like this super simple mastering chain, basically just to make it louder. I don't even think it does anything. It's like I threw some reverb on this one just to glue shit together a little bit,
Sure.
but I have like a little EQ, a bus compressor, another EQ, and just the fucking most simple limiter on it. And that's what I use. I mean, for my own stuff, I have a mastering engineer that I send it to.
Okay.
And if I care enough, because it's not that expensive to pay whatever to get it mastered.
Sure.
But for this and for other remixes and shit like that that are not, um, I'm not gonna go out of my way to get it to sound that much better.
Right.
When it sounds pretty good, I think as it is. If I just do the simple little mastering thing and
That sounds
you know,
great, bro. Yeah.
so yeah, man, I did for this though, the
Uh,
whole thing.
so I don't know if you can see, but can you still see me right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I frozen though?
No,
I'm not. So you can see me like waving in front of the camera and shit.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, weird. For some reason it's frozen on my side, but um, cool, dude. This looks really good, man. I mean, I love the fact that you just basically took two elements and made them, made a whole song around it. I think that gives you a whole lot more creative freedom, and you can truly make it your own.
yeah,
So you did it 115 BPM, and it was originally 112 or 111.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I like that, dude. It's a nice little like
Yeah. So
enough of a bump to keep it, progressive, but
yeah, yeah. I work right now. I've been liking the whole um like 105 to 115 kind
okay.
of stuff. I think yeah. I mean, like Lewis the Child is kind of in that range right now with their shit, and just the feel of it. I think it gives you like almost a kind of clubby vibe, but allows you to not be four on the floor. You can if you want, but you don't always have to be like that. And um, so, because I love that freedom with drums, and I'm not much of a house guy or like four on the floor type shit. So
Right.
I like the jumpy kind of bouncy, vibe more so.
I'm kind of there with you as well. I mean, I feel like, well, it just depends, but I like this tempo as well. I was going to ask kind of what would you call your genre of music that you make?
Most of the time, I would just throw it in like future bass.
Okay,
Uh,
gotcha.
I don't know. I'm not even really sure what that genre is anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also in my own stuff. I think I would call it a little bit more pop, even though it has like big drops.
Sure.
When I'm singing on it, I think it's more of a pop vibe, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, I got that as well, and that's kind of I think that's probably why I liked it a lot more as well. It does definitely have that those pop chord progressions, those
Yeah,
pop
exactly.
feel good moments in it. Um,
Exactly.
well, hell yeah, dude. So let's see. Oh yeah, the only other question I was going to ask. So for and this is separate to this song, but I appreciate you kind of walking me through this.
Hmm.
So I listened to a few of your songs,
Yeah.
and I liked "Won't Listen." I liked "What Didn't You Know." Is that what it's called?
What you didn't know.
What You Didn't Know.
Yeah.
Were those two songs? Were those your vocals on those?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's dope, bro. Yeah, those are. I can see that you. At least you're dabbling in it, man. Like,
Yeah.
do,
Exactly.
do you kind of do you use Melodyne and shit like that, or do you kind of just like try to execute perfectly, or a little combination of both?
Yeah. Definitely Melodyne.
Same.
uh, but
I'll do.
which is no. I mean, no.
There's
Like,
no shame in using Melodyne, bro.
I
Fuck,
think most people use it anyway, so
Post
it doesn't really
Malone does.
matter.
I mean, all the motherfuckers do, in my opinion.
But yeah, last year going to school for music finally and being around a ton of people that were super inspiring and making all this crazy good music
Yeah.
and it for one thing it allowed me to they really were like pushing me to try and find stuff and I was pushing myself to figure out what I really want to make and all this stuff and what my sound is going to be and I had dabbled in singing before but it was not really I wasn't really taking it seriously and so last year I tried to take it a little bit more seriously and just put myself out there I guess um, and
Yeah.
because I've always written stuff and
Yeah.
I would always make songs and then write lyrics to it but I just never would sing on it for some reason but I was like fuck it fuck it I'm just gonna do it I'm in this environment where it's everyone's like pretty accepting of whatever you want to make and so I went for it and it's for those songs I think it works I'm definitely like trying to get better and trying to put in more work and hopefully going to get vocal lessons someday and
For sure, bro.
just keep grinding on it but yeah man I Melodyne um, a lot of takes and a lot of sorting through uh, terrible takes to find pieces.
Dude, do you comp vocals and shit on Ableton? That's like my least favorite thing about Ableton.
When I was at school, I was the studios had Pro Tools rigs, so I was doing it on Pro Tools there. Here in my little home setup,
Sure.
I just mostly do in Ableton. If I'm really gonna do a final cut, I'll probably pull it into Pro Tools and record some there, just because it's a million times easier to comp vocals and
So much easier, bro. Yeah.
but the thing is I'll record vocals in there and then not touch them immediately bounce them out back to Ableton and do all the mixing because I just hate Pro Tools.
Dude, it's wild how shit, hold on, sorry. My video just went off. But yeah, dude, it's wild how just the little nuances of the DAWs are
Yeah.
truly what make or break them in my eyes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just, but anyway, it's an Ableton thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you still see me on your side?
Yeah, it turned off but it came back on so
Okay, cool. Well, cool, man. So I think we dive pretty deep on the
yeah.
song and the remix, which is awesome, bro. Kind of to wrap and summarize, I guess, man. Like, what's what's on the horizon for you, man? Like, what are you kind of what's next? I know we're gonna. I want to talk to you about what we can potentially work on together as well. But just like in terms of you, we're gonna add this to my album that I'm dropping a little later this year.
Yeah.
And I'm super stoked about that. It'll be a really cool thing. to add. But the other thing is I just kind of would love to know what you're cooking up right now. What you have in the pipeline. Are you doing this full time? Do you have a job as well that you're pursuing so you can pursue music?
Yeah.
I certainly do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a job, 9 to 5, and just pretty much utilize the business degree
yeah.
for that. And so, oh wait, how can I stop? Yeah. Okay. But yeah, pretty much just utilize the old business degree to get a, like marketing job basically at a company. So I do that, and that just pays the bills and
Of course.
keeps me living. And but honestly, it's been pretty good for inspiration, I would say, because I go to work and the work is pretty easy. So
For sure.
I don't really, I do what I have to do and I do my thing. But while I'm there,
It's like school, bro. It's like fucking to me.
yeah,
In like high school, it's like I don't want to fucking be here, but I kind of have to be, so I'm gonna do the best I can. But also, it's like
yeah,
as soon as I get home, I know where I'm really shining. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly. And so I keep like a notebook with me all the time, and I'm constantly listening to podcasts and listening to other music and doing all this stuff, and that pretty much keeps me inspired. And I write down any ideas I have throughout the day. 5 o'clock comes around, head home, eat some food, and just kind of either work on music or I've been doing like some video stuff too, just to fuck
Yeah,
around with it, and it's pretty fun, and Premiere and shit like that. But so yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm doing. I have one more song.
Instagram. I think I saw you had done some video editing stuff for your Instagram, maybe.
Yeah. I did a couple of videos in the past month, pretty much just because I think it's fun. I mean, I'm not like gonna be a video guy, but I enjoy it. So when I'm not working on music, it's another outlet of creativity, I would say.
If you don't have that on lock, bro, you're leaving an opportunity on the table, in my opinion. So
True.
it's like it's a necessary evil, unfortunately, today as an independent artist. If you really want to be independent and don't have a budget, like film's good.
Yeah, and I mean, with that too, like,
I use Premiere as well, so it's a fucking learning curve, but
yeah, it is. I'm there's so much. It's like learning a whole new DAW basically, and
yeah, for sure.
without knowing how video works anyway. So,
Yeah.
but it's fun, man. But yeah, I do that. I do all my own cover art too.
I
So
love your cover art, bro. That was part of the reason I liked it as well. How you went in there and put your on there. Like I was like, dude, that's sick, man. Like
yeah,
the fact that you figured that out, like I was like, respect.
yeah, that was and I mean, yeah, I just like mess around and stuff, and that was just in Photoshop. I mean, it took me a little time to like figure out how that worked, but I was like, yeah, this is kind of just a little cool thing,
Fuck
and
yeah.
make it my own part of the remix. So yeah, and I like I told you before, I have one more song coming out this year, which is another one that I produced, mixed, and sang on.
Dope.
Uh, so that'll be sometime in December as well. Actually, no, I just submitted it. It's gonna be earlier now. It's gonna be in November, so end of November. And yeah, that's what's going on. I'm just
Bro.
taking day by day.
You like you mentioned a couple things earlier, so you're doing like the social side, like, and you talked about people that you listen to for inspiration. Gary V, one of those guys, like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's funny, man. He's like the fucking thread that keeps everybody together in the music
yeah,
world, bro. Because we're like, I mean, it's just interesting, man. Because like musicians we are literally usually working a job so that we can spend money on our music habit. Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, you have to. There's so many musicians who I see doing it out there who
yeah.
listen to Gary Vee because it's just like it's a daily dose of fucking. It's like vitamin C, except it's
Yeah,
fucking
no, it is.
inspiration. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's easy, man. It's easy to get down on yourself and
So in your head all the time, bro.
I mean, I don't want to say like musicians are more. I don't know what it is, but
No, dude,
we all got our sensitive side.
we're emotional. We're
Yeah.
fucking. We're in our heads, bro. Like, and I think the biggest thing is if you're really a musician, like if you're truly like have been doing this for a long time, and you felt the energy you get from music at a young age, you almost like have been tainted because you've seen like the sides of things. You've seen life of like what's really cool and like what really you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be patient when you have, that because somebody
Exactly.
doing it, it's just like you literally have to do it for free or pay to do it for a decade sometimes.
Yeah. No, and coming out of college, I had this, not good sense of how easy or not it may be, or
Right.
I've now released like 12 or 13 songs throughout this year that is like they just don't do shit, even though they may be good or they may be bad. It's like you just gotta keep grinding, and
Right.
as long as you know that this is what you want to do, and you're comfortable working a job and then coming home and working the rest of the night.
Yep.
To me, at first I was like, yo, this sucks. I don't know how long I'd be able to keep this up, but now I kind of like it. I like the grind, and it's fun, man. And yeah, keeping trying to stay positive and listening to like Gary Vee or other podcasts like that is good. I've been like reading a lot too, like books that are just positively driven shit, and so keeps you going.
Yeah, man. No, it's huge. I think being inspired, and it's funny you mentioned something earlier as well, like when my day job, yeah, dude, I get a lot of frustration sometimes from that. I mean, I come home with a chip on my shoulder. I come home sad. I come home fucking happy. I mean, I come home with different emotions, bro, and I just put that in the music. You know what I mean? And it's like, I often think like, what if I didn't have that? I'd probably be sitting around wasting my time so much more, and it's because I have a finite amount of time that I double down and I actually have that. So
Exactly.
there's almost, the older I've got, I'm like, man, like, fuck, there's a lot of value in not making it for a while because it really puts you to the it really shows you like how bad you want it. And so if you do make it, or when you do make it, you know why you're there. You know what I mean? Like
no prepared for it.
Yeah, I wasn't just, I'm not Lil Nas X who posted a song on TikTok, but
yeah, exactly.
although motherfucking good move on TikTok,
yeah, exactly. I've been trying to get into it. I've been trying to get into it.
Yeah, we have to talk about that after, bro. I've been trying to crack it. I've had a little bit of success, but man, it's like that shit's it's interesting, bro. Gary Vee knows how to point you in the right direction. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, so true.
Well, cool, dude. So, last thing I kind of want to talk about is maybe just in terms of what we, as a part of this, and for people who don't know, right, we're getting to have this interview. We're going to kind of go post this online after we do editing on it. We're going to push that. I want this to be also about the other parts of it, which is, you're going to be released on the album. And then lastly, you're going to, hopefully we're going to have a song that we can, cook up to release. I'd love to hear, and be completely honest, like what in an ideal world, what would you want to cook up together? Would you, is it, do you have any preconceived ideas of like what we could do together, or is it, yeah, any thoughts there?
I mean, it's up for what I mean, I'm down to make anything really. Like, I mean, I dabble in a lot of like pop producing too, and for my own stuff, for other people's stuff, and I mean, really anything, dude. Obviously, I would think we go a little bit more your vibe, kind of like a one night vibe. I would think, something like that, like pop, and just base it around the vocals, because they're good as fuck. So, I think that's a way to do it. And I mean, either we, if you have ideas that you've already written or stuff you've already recorded, I mean,
Yeah, I'll send you a few. I'll send you a few like SoundCloud links after this.
yeah,
Stuff that I've just been like super demo mode. Like
yeah,
you'll
of course.
literally hear just a super rough idea on it.
Mhm.
But I'm always about giving you a demo like that, allowing you to go kind of do your own thing on it, and then I can go recut vocals after kind of yeah, that's the way to do it, man. Well, cool, bro. What else? I mean, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate
really good
for taking the time. It's like you got a lot of layers to kind of your story, which has been cool, bro. And you're really doing it out there. I think you're probably this is going to be really relatable to I think a lot of loom artists or artists in general who are kind of on the come up. And it was really cool the way this contest had sort of two sides to it. One side, which was, my personal pick, which is obviously why I set this up. And shout out to Daniel Naz and fucking this guy who won the other side of the contest because they hustled the fuck out of it, and they were both really, really cool flips. I just thought like I wanted it to this truly to be about like the song that I like related the most. Just kind of on a my palette, my sound palettes perspective, bro. So I'm super excited to work on some more stuff with you in the future, man. And any other things you want to kind of shout out, before we hop off here and wrap it, man? Anything coming up? I know you. What day are you gonna release your song?
November 29th. So yeah, it's called Like You. It's kind of like the Won't Listen type vibe where I'm singing on it. Got a nice drop and kind of like a indie pop vibe in the beginning. So interesting little mix there, but yeah, got that coming. And also, I don't know. I think Loom, as far as like this goes, obviously it was all through Loom and that shit. And I mean, that platform has been huge for me. One, as far as just staying inspired and seeing a ton of other musicians and like how quickly that stuff is the presence, but then also just like a lot of confidence because again, like I've been putting stuff out on SoundCloud and Spotify and all this shit, and you always see the like less than 1,000 plays, and I'm just like, God damn, man, it's tough out here, and
dude, it is, bro, and nobody will fucking listen, you know what I mean, until they do, you know what I mean. It's
and to put stuff up on Loom and have it finally have some like ears on it, even though it's still minuscule in the grand scheme of things, to me it's like it's huge. So it's been awesome, dude. I love this app.
It's man. It's a completely different playing field, I think, and it's one where you can just get shined. If you have good music, like it surfaces. And man, it's been cool, dude. I'm glad we fucking got to have not this collab, bro, but I definitely want to chat with you about maybe doing another remix for me as well outside of other song that we do. So
cool, of course, man.
So cool, man. Well, fuck, Alex, appreciate you, homie. Yeah, man. We'll I guess I just gotta stop recording on this thing or whatever. But yeah, bro. Let's probably link up very soon. But appreciate everybody for watching, and shout out Loom, shout out Wavewalk, baby, and yeah, man. This has been fun. We'll have to once we start working on some other stuff.